good thing to drop into the chat where people are from. And let's see if I can bring the chat up.
Good morning from Austin, Texas. Oakland, California. Portland, Maine. Trenton, New Jersey.
Right, I was going to say the only question is going to be, is anyone from New Jersey?
Right. And Los Angeles, California. Wow. It's amazing how this has opened up to become a national conference. It really is.
Right. Wow. I mean, wow. East, West, South, Maine, California, and Texas. We need somebody either Alaska or North Dakota to really round it out.
Also, another Texas. Wow. Antoinette Verdone would be so jealous.
Okay, we're at 9:59. So thank you everyone for putting your locations in the chat. How many are we at as far as participant wise? How many people are we speaking with today, Nacham? What do you see on the participant count?
1 second, because it's like in a funny view, it's like 12 or 13, something like that. Let's see.
Okay, we're I guess a pretty cozy group. And again, if someone does have a question along the way and they do want to come off mute because we're not such a huge group, I think that would be all right. Otherwise, drop questions in the chat. I think by default, everyone is muted and invisible. But if you want to appear and speak, I think breaking in would be fine because, again, of the small group. We don't know you, you don't know us, but I imagine that there is a wide range of experience on this call. So please be patient if this information is too introductory to you, and forgiving if it's too advanced. So we'll find out, I guess, as things go with your notes in the chat. This presentation at the New Jersey Virtual Assistive Technology and Community Living Summit, this presentation is about us. It's about bridging voice. And the title of our presentation, AAC for PALS, Beyond Communication to Connection. So right in that title, there are 2 abbreviations. Don't worry about it. If they're not familiar, we'll clarify. So this is a session about us bridging voice related to AAC for PALS. And I'm going to get started right now. So our agenda today for our session is, first of all, an overview of what is bridging voice, what do we do, introducing ourselves and our team, and particularly introducing a New Jersey initiative, which might be less relevant to the audience, and then give you specific examples of really what our work is about. And here on this slide are those definitions that I
Eddie, you're breaking up a little bit.
Augmentative and alternative communication. Oh boy. Oh boy. I don't have a solution for that.
Okay.
I brought the microphone closer, but so augmentative and alternative communication, that's the AAC. And people with ALS are fondly referred to as PALS. So when we say AAC for PALS, we're talking about communication systems, communication devices, speech generating devices, communication apps, communication boards, manual boards, high tech, low tech, mid tech, communication systems, whatever they are, for people with ALS, no matter what their stage. So people who have just been diagnosed and people who are nearly locked in and everything in between. We're going to talk about the communication challenges that PALS face and bridging voice solutions with specific examples. So on to introductions. So I'm Eddie Ehrlich. I'm an occupational therapist and engineer. I'm an assistive technology specialist with Bridging Voice. And my co-presenter today is Nacham Lehman. Go ahead, why don't you introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Nacham Lehman, Technical Director of Bridging Voice. And since Eddie is such a great presenter, he's going to be doing the presenting today. And I'll just interrupt like my natural Brooklyn self.
I think we call that heckling.
Okay.
Yeah. There are other members of the Bridging Voice team. They're listed there: executive director, clinical director. We're a small and nimble team. You'll see soon that we serve a lot of PALs. We have speech pathologists, occupational therapists, computer programmers, but really what we have is decades and decades of experience with assistive technology, alternative and augmentative communication, and people with ALS. So we don't like to count how many, but we're well over 100 years when we put everybody together. So what is Bridging Voice? Bridging Voice is a nonprofit organization that supports people with ALS by providing holistic support for all their technology needs related to communication and computer access. So we're a support organization. That's our focus. And what we're trying to do with our support is to counter the technology abandonment that is rife for PALs. I think the estimate is that only 20% of the technology is actually used around communication. And so we're trying to make that a lot closer to 100%. And so everyone that we deal with, our goal is to ensure that every ALS client, patient, person has the support to access a communication system. Our model is that our support is remote and is free of charge. And to be frank, the reason why we exist is because the technology solutions are a little bit too numerous and too complex for any PALs and their caregivers to figure out and manage alone. And so they really need support. And while there are supports in place, there are funders, there are therapists, there are caregivers, there are support organizations. The laser focus that we have on communication technology really fills a need and fills a gap. This is reflected on how many PALs we have had contact with over the past 2.5 years. We're up to 891 PALs across 47 states. We also are international: Morocco, Saudi Arabia, Mexico, the UK, Israel, Canada, and Switzerland on our list of international PALs. And the way we work, I just put this note at the bottom of the slide. We reach PALs through our referral partner system. And so if you reach out to our
Eddie,
our website,
Eddie, have you been moving the slides? Because we only see the Bridging Voice initial slide.
Oh, no. I have been moving the slides. So my share is paused. So let me reshare. I'm so sorry. Thank you, Nacham. I have been moving the slides. So
we still see the editing mode of PowerPoint.
Let's see. Who knows? how to stop, my share is paused. Let's see. Multiple participants sharing simultaneously. Stop share, and I'll share again. Share again. Wrong window, I think. Do you see it now?
Yeah, nice. Okay.
Okay. All right. So sorry, just to then roll through here. This is our agenda. The Bridging Voice overview has two parts. Introductions, what we do, and our New Jersey initiative, and specifics. This is our team. Nacham and I are presenting today, and here's the rest of our team. Is this coming through now, Nacham?
Yep.
Sorry. And this is our mission. Bridging Voice as a nonprofit, we're countering technology abandonment. Our goal is to ensure every ALS patient has support to communication systems, and our services are remote and free of charge. This was our geographic reach slide that I was trying to demonstrate, that we are seeing close to 900 PALs across the country and in eight other countries. Okay, so what I was saying when you alerted me that you couldn't see this at the bottom of the slides is that we work through referral partner systems. So in other words, when you go to our website, you won't find a little form, help me, contact me, but you can leave information at bridgingvoice.org. But what we do work with is ALS associations around the country, speech language pathologists, ALS clinics and centers, evaluators have become trusted partners of Bridging Voice, and they refer clients to us, keeps us very busy. But when someone is not in that network, sometimes they have no way to us. And so what we are doing is a New Jersey initiative. We're starting in one state to kind of turn the tables. Instead of waiting for a referral partner, we are asking anyone with ALS at any stage, reach out directly to us at this newjersey.bridgingvoice.org site. And in order for Bridging Voice to provide services. This is a statewide initiative. It's funded by an organization called Renew Jersey Fund, and it's supported directly by the governor of New Jersey, Governor Phil, and his wife, Tammy Murphy. This is a pilot project for us to start a new model of reaching PALs. So we're also part of this New Jersey initiative is to support the speech language pathologists in the state, to provide them with knowledge and expertise in order to provide evaluations, to provide support, to provide services. Okay. We're at the kind of the meat of our presentation now, and we're just kind of 10 minutes in, so I think we're doing fine on time. Did I catch everybody up? Oh, I wanted to let you know that there is a document associated with this presentation. So there's a Google Doc provided by ATAC, by New Jersey ATAC, that's associated with this Zoom link on the schedule at a glance. And if you open that document, you'll find the title of this presentation. You'll find our names. So if you haven't been copying slides or taking screenshots or typing quickly, you'll find the links to our website, the sign up for the New Jersey initiative. There's our info line. And if you are a professional interested in training, when we're done with this, if you're interested in what we do, you can sign up for trainings, for future trainings that go more in detail about what we do. I also threw in my email address. So if you really want to be able to reach out directly to a person, to a live person, so I'm Eddie at bridgingvoice.org, and you can reach me that way. So, Okay, back to the slide presentation. Basically, Bridging Voice addresses challenges that PALs have around technology and alternative access around communication technology, and we provide solutions. We provide, sometimes that solution is education, and sometimes it's referral to a resource. Sometimes it's an actual physical change of a system, but we want to outline exactly what that looks like. So first, what are the challenges? So when someone is newly diagnosed, or someone with ALS is having a change in their voice, they want to know, what's the next step? What is going to happen next? What are my options? What can I do? And this is coupled with that there just isn't enough organized knowledge out there in the ecosystem. There's just, there's people giving information, there are vendors giving information, there are funders giving information, there are support organizations. Again, our focus is on AAC technology and alternate access. We've got specific knowledge. People want to know, how do I get a device? How do I get an app? How do I get a switch? How do I get these things that I've heard about, that I've seen? So there are people who have jumped the gun in some way. They've gotten a device, but maybe it's not the right device. It's not working for them, or they've gotten it at the wrong time. So it's sitting in the closet, and they don't really know what it is anymore. Now that they might need it, they're wondering, maybe that's something that I need now, but the vendor might be long gone, for instance. Technology abandonment in the closet, that's what we're talking about. Devices that are collecting dust, or devices that are just woefully underutilized, just that are not being used well or properly. Also, someone may have the technological know-how, may have a good setup, but don't have caregivers who can facilitate the setup of an eye tracking device, the setup of a switch, the setup of the pairing of a phone to a communication device. We train caregivers, whether they're family members or staff in a nursing home, rotating staff on hospice. We train staff all the time. And finding ongoing support as needs change. So we are often, Bridging Voice is often where people turn back and say, I'm having trouble doing what you're doing for the past, what you trained me to do a year ago isn't working so well, or what my initial setup, what do I do now? And so kind of back to the top of this list, what's the next step? So this is an ongoing process. Something I should mention is that Bridging Voice, addresses all of those challenges, and we work outside of the medical model. So we're not bounded by insurance funding, or by a time limit, or by the number of sessions. And so we provide, usually our average, Nacham, do you remember what is the average number of services that we provide to each of our PALs?
10 services.
10 services. So, and that might be a phone call, that might be an email, that might be a FaceTime chat, that might be a remote in service, that might be taking somebody's files, working on them and getting back to them. So 10 of those sessions, and they're not bounded by any particular insurance code or any code at all. This is just us providing service. And our services range, again, if you look at the blue headings here, education and resources, evaluation and training. So we help people with ALS figure out what they need. It's we can train people on the device, but if the device is wrong, then an evaluation is needed. So we do evaluations on the phone and by video, by discussion. It is, at this point, we're very good at doing evaluations remotely. We're not trying to replicate what expert AAC speech language pathologists are doing everywhere around the country, right? So if there is someone who's doing that AAC eval and getting someone a communication device or a communication app or a switch, we're there to support. But if someone doesn't have that resource, or we're supplementing speech pathologists who don't know about this niche of technology. They may be very good about swallowing and articulation related to ALS, but know very little about augmentative communication. So we're not trying to recreate the wheel. We don't want to do augmentative communication evaluations if we don't need to. And so we will always refer to existing clinics and therapists. We have customized solution. No PALS is exactly the same as the next. We've even created games ranging from hangman to crosswords. Technical support. We don't. I think our small team knows that we're pretty much a 24/7 operation. So we can be reached really at any time. There are people working on the weekends, evenings, and most of our pals have our direct numbers, our direct emails, our direct text messages. And so the technical support, continues throughout. And we're always looking for new technology, what will work better, what is simpler, what is more streamlined. We're trying, the best thing we could hope for is that if Bridging Voice is a success, we'll put ourselves out of business. If the technology becomes easier to use, more streamlined, just simpler, and people can handle it more easily, and there's clear roadmap of what's next, then we'll have accomplished what we set out to do. I'm going to go now into examples of challenges and solutions. So what are some particular challenge that a PALS may have, and what a Bridging Voice solution might look like? So this is Sandy and Dorothy. So this is a video. Sandy had a communication device, and in his words, he didn't know what he didn't know. He didn't know what he had in front of him. He didn't know what the capabilities of the device. So I don't know the history exactly. Nacham, you may know whether this was delivered, a couple of years before he actually needed to use it. It sat in the closet. By the time he used it, he was using it only for basics. So take a look at this video and get an idea of what a relevant augmentative communication speech generating device can mean in somebody's life. Let's see if I can get this to click. Some sound.
The sound is very low. Yo. Eddie, there's a choice. Yeah. Maybe you want to stop that for a second. When you share the screen, there's a checkbox to share sound.
Okay.
That usually will fix that issue. You would probably have to stop the screen sharing and share again.
Share. I have seen that before, but I don't see it now. Let me check under. I don't see that option.
But you're still sharing.
You want me to stop? All right, I'll stop share.
Try it and just try.
All right. Advanced. No, it does not come up that way, I don't think. But I'll reshare and let's see. Share sound. I got it. Thank you. What a team. Let's
with
all right.
We didn't even know what we didn't know before we had to start using it full time. It wasn't until Bridging Voices that I learned what my machine was truly capable of.
they know how important it is for Sandy to be able to communicate with his caregivers, with me, with my 7-year-old daughter. And my daughter has learned so much from Sandy. And the only reason that she's been able to learn from him is through this wonderful eye-gazing device. His son had finished a great game. His son came out and was in the hallway. And I do remember Sandy was able to use his machine and say, "Great job, I'm so proud of you." His son leaned over, put his arms around Sandy, and just held him tightly. You start learning that it's the simple joys in life that is what makes us happy.
So, Sandy is a wonderful example of someone who's increasingly locked in, and a speech generating device is way beyond simple words and communication, but it's really become part of their lives. And Bridging Voice has been instrumental in maximizing the usage there and really making it possible for Sandy to be part of his family and his children's lives. I should mention that we are device agnostic. I really like that expression, so that we don't really care what device someone is using, what software they're using, except if it doesn't fit well, then we care a lot. But if someone has, a device A or device B, we will support, and we are, very agile again in supporting all communication systems. Here's another. This is just a chart of someone with earlier ALS than maybe what we just saw on the previous slide. So someone who is having changes in their hand use, right? And their goal is, I want to use my iPad. I want to continue using my iPad. So I do a lot of this evaluation. And the question is, if someone has little use of their hand or no use of their hands. And both of these solutions, again, they're not something that we created, but we're leveraging, we're bringing it to these pals, right? So the Kensington Expert Mouse Trackball is a wonderful solution for using really all parts of the hand, whether it's fingers, side of the hand, a fisted hand, a forearm, the heel of the hand, and very often what pals have is some thumb use. And in addition to that, voice control on an iPad and iPhone is an incredible, stable, solid tool. I've become a very big fan. So very often what we do is point to the tool, we go directly to the point. It's very easy to recommend someone who has a voice, who's using an iPad and has no hand use, and then we'll provide the training that's needed to get them going. So here's a common challenge that we have encountered. A PALS has a caregiver that doesn't understand their spoken language or their written language. So you have a PALS who's nonverbal, who's typing into their system in their language. The problem is that their caregiver doesn't understand that language. So Bridging Voice has come up with a translator button, a simple button that will audio translate, also potentially written translate, which will come up later on a later slide. So this is a short video just of translating from English to Russian.
We met when Steve was playing for the LA Raiders.
Whoops. Let me get back here. Sorry.
Здравствуйте, помогите, пожалуйста.
So the message window just says, hello, please help. And then in the language that I don't understand, but the caregiver understands, it's spoken in Russian. And so the innovation is all captured in that in that orange button at the bottom of the screen.
Здравствуйте, помогите, пожалуйста.
Innovation. The programming behind it is using Google Translate in order to translate from one language to another. And so because Google Translate is so international and so varied, we can do this across how many, 80 languages now? So with a single button, we can just change what is the input language, what is the output language. We change the keyboard to accommodate the user and the output to accommodate the listener. So we've used this a lot. In New York, we have a lot of, we have a big English-Spanish divide. I think that's who's Spanish who do not. Yes?
Oh, you were just breaking up a little bit.
I got a message on my screen, internet connection unstable, unfortunately.
Okay.
So we have, this comes up a lot. Here's another challenge. This relates to technology abandonment. I think not because someone is not successful using eye gaze, but feels that they are no longer able to continue eye gazing. So this is a short video about Steve and his wife Chia, who had a communication device, has an eye tracking device, but for 3 years believed that he could no longer use the communication device until Bridging Voice stepped in to modify the boards that he's looking at, that he's gazing at. Instead of being on a QWERTY keyboard, instead of even being on a 2-step keyboard, which has 16 buttons, Bridging Voice created an 8-button board. Whoops, not very good at clicking.
We met when Steve was playing for the LA Raiders and I was cheering for the Raiders. So he retired in '96 and was diagnosed in 2002. You can't help but feel a little bit frustrated when you see your loved one not being able to use a device anymore, and you kind of think about just the disease in itself, the progression of ALS. I reached out to Gleason. She said, you know, I think I have something that's going to work for you. We've made all these amazing updates with Bridging Voice to get things specifically tailored for Steve. From then on out, it was just such an easy, really wonderful time. Every time we got off our sessions, I was just beaming, so happy. Steve said good morning to me, and I was in the kitchen at the time, and it completely took me by surprise. And then I looked at the computer and could see Steve wrote good morning, and I haven't heard him say that in so long.
I can talk with computer much more.
That's a perfect example of a Bridging Voice solution to meet a PALS challenge.
I'd just like to stick something in, Eddie, in that one.
Yep.
Steve was actually an eye tracking user of that particular device for 12 years before he lost his ability to use the eye tracker. So it is, like Eddie mentioned before, it's an ongoing process. And even if someone can be successful for so many years, sometimes they reach this juncture where they need to revisit technology and get something completely new.
Right. Here's just another example. A very similar technology user, technology PALS user, PALS technology user, but with a different set of challenges because he's in a nursing home and his primary language is Spanish and he has no insurance. And his communication device did not have a wired connection to the nurse call system. This was the challenge that Bridging Voice was given. And so we got him a device through Team Gleason. Again, we're not device providers or device funders. He's in a facility, and so we wanted to make sure that he was paired with his Android phone successfully. And moreover, we thought that that was the solution actually for the nurse call as well. We put an Android phone at the nurse's station so that Eddie, this is Eddie, is this case study, was able to actually text the nurse's station, not just to beep them and say, you know, come, but able to give details. Come and roll me to my right side. I'm having trouble with, with the lighting in the room, whatever it is. And the additional hurdle of that he's a Spanish speaker, so he's on a Spanish keyboard. His text messages were sent using the translate button. They were sent in both English and Spanish to the nurse's station. Here's another challenge. If you've worked at all with communication devices, eye tracking devices, you have seen repeated typing errors. So Nacham is actually narrating this video, and he will explain it quite well. But it's very frustrating watching someone who is vainly trying to type on such a keyboard and to retain communication, but the communication breakdown is just repeated over and over by hitting the letter next to the letter that they want. So watch this video for the smart backspace.
If you've ever observed an eye tracking device being used with poor calibration, you've probably seen the frustrating cycle where the user attempts to gaze at a particular character but unintentionally hits a different one. They usually will then backspace and try again. Often the same problem happens again and again. After 2 or 3 times, we all say to ourselves, why can't the device figure out that the user doesn't want that letter they keep hitting? Bridging Voice has created a custom solution with a smarter backspace button. This button will know after a pre-configured number of times that the user does not want that character and will hide it from the board. We'll type the word hello. So I'm going to type an H with my eyes, and now I need to type an E, but instead I hit the R. So normally the user would hit the backspace button and very possibly hit the R again. But with our smart backspace button, the R disappears. Now they have a second chance to get it without worrying that they're going to hit that R again. So now they can hit the E, and they get their E, and the R comes back. Now let's say they're trying to do the L, and they hit the semicolon. They press backspace, so the semicolon is gone. But let's say this time they hit the K. So right now the computer assumes that if you accept the K, everything is fine, and we should leave all of the characters visible on the screen. But if that K was unintentional and they hit the backspace, now the K and the semicolon are both gone. Now the user has a much better chance at hitting the L. If you've ever observed...
So Nacham can speak more about that as he did, but in some way, I like to think of this as a kind of Zoom, where the wrong choices are isolated from the right choice. So the smart backspace is kind of an inversion of that, where the mistakes are not allowed to propagate. So the same thing over and over and over again. So we watched that happen many times, and that was a tremendously novel smart backspace. And we can put that on any key. We can do that in communicator software. And are we able to do it in other software?
Yes, in the grid also.
So in communicator or grid software, so somebody who wants to stay on a full keyboard, right? That's really the key here, that in some way their accuracy for this is a 10 wide or is 12 wide by 7 high. This is a 70 button board, right? So we can put somebody on a 50 button board or a 30 button board or a 16 button or an 8 button board, but somebody who really wants to stay on this full 70 board, they need tools and solutions to make that possible.
If you've ever observed.
So our quick philosophy, right? Bridging Voice's quick philosophy. We believe that PALs should always be able to communicate, and we'll do everything we can to make that happen. Sometimes it's simple interventions. It's just adjusting the angle of a device, training a caregiver. But sometimes it's a much more complex solution. We believe that technology is a tool and we use it ably, but communication is the solution. Our end goal is to get people communicating. We don't get lost in the technology just for the technology's sake. And we often know that what works for one person will not work for the next person. A personalized approach is often the key. And what's pretty known about us already is that we never give up. We just keep at it until we find a solution that works. Again, PALs should always be able to communicate. Here are the links for our website, particularly for the New Jersey initiative. If you need general assistance and you want to reach out to info@bridgingvoice.org, and if you're interested in further training, so on any of the examples that we showed today, so we go more into depth about these and other topics, you can fill out that training form. And again, these links are live, so you don't have to retype them. They're live in the Google document that's associated with this presentation. We still have about 6 minutes to go, so if anybody wants to come off mute and ask a question live, or you want to type into the chat, this would be a good time to do it. And I know, again, we're all over the country and there's a wide range of expertise and experience. So let's hear it. Anybody out there?
Okay, somebody wanted to know how she could get a copy of the slides. So I told her to send an email to info@bridgingvoice.org and to see if that was available. So
yes, I'll be happy to share. It's in PowerPoint version. The problem is that the videos are embedded, so it's a huge file. So we'll figure out a way to get it to you. Are people out there working with PALs? Do we have speech pathologists? I mean, what attracted you to this this presentation?
So one person actually just finished as a graduate in neuroscience and worked on P300 BCIs, but she wrote that the tech side and the actual implementation in real life side are not the same, which of course she is correct.
Right. Right. So for those people who aren't familiar with the brain-computer interface, BCI is an emerging technology, probably still mostly in research mode, right? And so it is one solution for locked-in PALs who are unable to use their eyes. That would be a go-to solution. But as Nacham, I think, was hinting and agreeing, is that what you're able to do in the laboratory has not yet been translated well into a product that we are willing to implement as a solution. There just isn't a product yet that's ready, but we're watching and waiting and evaluating products as they're coming closer and closer to market.
And there are some, obviously the P300s are a brain communication interface that is somewhat available. It is still in research mode, but there are many people around the country who have used it for communication, but there are one or two very, very promising BCI products that look like they are going to change the landscape very, very soon. So it's important to stay in touch about those. Let's see, here's a one question. ALS patients are so underserved. Do you have a referral base to connect AAC specialists with patients?
Right, so we do. So you should write to at our website, info@bridgingvoice.org, and we'll try to connect you with a referral partner. We'll try to connect that person with a referral partner, unless that person is in New Jersey, and then they can go directly to that referral, self-referral form. So New Jersey is more direct. The rest of the country is a little more indirect, but yes. So we will refer to local referral partners that we know. If we don't know someone, we might reach out to the local ALS association, or Team Gleason might help us find a local partner.
And just to mention, honestly speaking, although we do work with referral partners, and in New Jersey, we're working more directly with patients, but there isn't an ALS patient that's reached out to us from anywhere in the country that was not taken into our database to be helped. So it's, there may be a point where that may become impossible for us, but we are serving anyone who reaches out for help. We will serve them.
Okay, we just have a couple of minutes left. Any further questions, comments, feedback? All right, again, you have how to reach us, info.
One second, one more question, Eddie.
Yes.
I'm an SLP specializing in AAC, working with students with complex communication needs who use eye gaze devices. The information you provide today was great. I love the smart backspace button. Thank you. And that is available. Some of these boards we have available on our website, and they can be used for any implementation, not necessarily ALS. We may not be able to support and create new things because we're just overwhelmed with what we're doing for the PALS community, but certainly anything that's available can be used anywhere. That would make everyone happy.
Great. Thank you for coming. Thank you for attending. Enjoy the rest of the day. And if you reach out to us, do let us know that you attended this session so we can close the loop here. Okay, bye for now. Bye from New York.
Thank you. Bye-bye.